Hi guys, it's Russ here from Lucy and Russ Property Chat. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about health and safety in houses of multiple occupation, HMOs. That's the world we live and breathe. We manage over 400 rooms now. So we have a lot of experience in dealing with filling rooms and also keeping them safe and checking them. So I'm just going to walk you around a new property that we've taken on today. We are actually going to refurbish this one. But up until about 2 weeks ago, there were tenants living in this property. And I'm going to point out some of the things that we feel should have been managed whilst there were tenants here that we would find issue with. So I'm going to start, and through this, I'm going to talk about different risks. And these are some of the common hazards in what's called the Housing Health and Safety Rating System, HHSRS. Which is a kind of a guide as to the most common hazards in housing. In our managing agent, what we do is we actually look at all of those risks. There's nearly 30 of those in total, and we've got checks, regular checks, either every 2 weeks or every 3 months to make sure that each and every one of those hazards is checked in a property, because there's all sorts of things that could become an issue and cause either a fall, a trip, a slip, or some kind of accident for tenants. So I'm just going to start in this bedroom here. This was a bedroom previously. This is a little sort of almost self-contained flat with some shared facility. So the first thing I'm going to look at is the window. So this doesn't really shut properly. There's no key here. We can just about actually close the window, but you can see here I can get my fingers in the top. So in the winter, this is really cold, the wind's whistling through, and excess cold is one of the hazards on the Housing Health and Safety Rating System. So we would really need to get that fixed. Also, you can see the windows blown here, so from an energy efficiency point of view, this isn't going to be giving the building the best energy performance rating that it could do. There's also no key for this window in the property. Now we are on the second floor, so and this is although this is a full opening window, or at least it should be. Obviously, if there was a fire, you'd rather go down the stairs than out the window. But you can see there it's quite difficult to open, and also if somehow this was locked, there's no key here to actually get it open. So there should be a key in each room. We're just going to have a quick look here. There's I don't know if you guys can see here, there's a socket here, electrical socket, which has been damaged. Now that isn't going to blow up and cause a huge issue, but it is dangerous and should be identified in a regular check and should be replaced. Okay, the liability for who's responsible for that, if this was in good condition when the tenancy started, it would be reasonable to expect the tenant to pay for that damage. Either way, it's the landlord's responsibility to ensure that that is actually dealt with. You can see here also, I have ripped a bit of the wallpaper off to see the quality of the wall, but the wallpaper was damaged and falling off, and you can see there's a number of cracks and things, and that you can actually, in a couple of places, just very slightly feel how much colder it is in some parts of the wall than others, and that was causing issues where the wallpaper was falling off, which wasn't a great environment, but also in the winter it was hot and cold, and actually causing condensation, damp and mould. So from a tenant's perspective, there's health issues there as well. What we have got in this property though, which is good to see, is the fire alarm sounder connected to the fire alarm. There's a panel downstairs which should be regularly tested. So there is good stuff happening in this property, but there are still some things I'll point out. Next one is floorboards. So trips and trip hazards is a big issue, particularly in shared property where not all of the tenants have the same kind of ownership of the property. So you can see here there's been a little bit of work done, but this hasn't been secured back down properly. There's a large hole there. Okay, you're not probably going to put your foot on there regularly, but you could have tripped on this. It was under the carpet, but it was sticking up. So there's all sorts of issues there, really. As we go through into here, Now again, this was let to tenants and it is in their space, so they have some responsibility to look after this. But if you look at the hygiene of the toilet, in a shared house, that is something that really the landlord ought to be paying attention to, checking and making sure it's being maintained for the health and safety of those tenants. As we come through here into the kitchen, we've got again another window that doesn't really close very well. Some of the seals are missing, and then we've also got an oven here which hasn't been cleaned. Again, is the tenant's oven, but as a landlord, as a letting agent, you would expect to draw their attention to this because there is quite a fire risk here with all the food in the bottom. So something to point out to them, to ask them to deal with themselves, but it should be being taken care of. You can see here some of the appliances are very old as well, and one of the challenges with that is that I wonder whether that's been PAT tested. PAT testing stands for portable appliance testing, and it's something that should be done with any freestanding electrical appliance every 12 months after the appliance is a year old. So basically anything, I can't see this one, here it goes, the washing machine, anything with a plug like this on it should be tested every 12 months in order that we know that it's safe for the tenants to continue to use. So there's a little bit about that. We're just going to pop down the stairs now. So we'll come through. Now this is a huge issue here. This is something that really should have been addressed. This piece of carpet loose on the stairs, particularly as it then comes to a winding staircase here. Massive risk of slips here, and if you were to fall here, you're almost certainly going to hit your head on the wall. You're probably going to go down another flight of stairs here and land yourself on the bottom as well. So be really careful as you're coming down here, because it is a risk, and that should, that's just a couple of little tacks, or that's probably a 10-minute job to fix that up and make that safe, but it's not been done. So you can see here, this is one of the call points for the fire alarm system. That needs to be checked regularly, as does the emergency lighting here. So in the event of a fire, this green light would go off and the light would come on in order that people can safely make their way out of the property. We're going to go back down another floor now. There's a couple of little things I'm going to point out there too. So this is your fire panel connected up to here, and the gas safety record, which shows that when this property's gas and appliances were last inspected. That's an annual check. Most landlords will know that. As we move around here, you've got the electric cupboard with not only the standard residential electrics in, but this has actually got what's called 3-phase electric coming into the property. So you've got these huge electric meters and everything going on in here. This should be a fire door frame. I'm not convinced that it is. And under here should be boarded in a 30-minute fire resistant pink fireboard, and there should be a fire door here with intumescent strips, which there is. These are cold soak smoke seal strips that if there was a fire in here, it would keep the smoke kept inside for long enough that people could get out safely. We come to the front door. This is one of the things that we would check every 2 weeks. The thumb turn allows tenants to exit in the event of a fire, even if they haven't got their key. All right, because the main thing about fire now is to get out of the property. All right, that's the fire services advice. So from a safety point of view, we're just going to shut that down there. And then the last couple of bits that we're going to look at in here. We've got a fire blanket here, although it looks a little bit old. This is because the landlord previously let this property with a small cooking facility in the room. And the other issue that I'm going to draw your attention to is the proximity of the switches to water. So I'm guessing that this has been in here a while, and that retrospectively the water's been put in. So there should be a good clear 30 centimetres between the edge of the sink and in fact the draining area and then the socket. So this actually is really unsafe because water and electric is not a good mix. So this is something we're going to have to reconfigure as we refurbish the property. So lots of things to think about there. There's nearly 30 hazards, standard hazards on the housing health and safety rating system. At some point we'll do a video about probably most of them to draw your attention to the things you need to be thinking about if you're coming into the HMO market, houses of multiple occupation. It's what we do day in, day out. If you want to see more of our content, you want to find out more about what we do in this space, subscribe to our channel and check out all of our other content, and we'll see you soon.